Now you have a year which is 11 and odd more. So every 2 and 3/4 of a year, so you may have to add one more lunar month, or rather leave out one more lunar month to have a year consisting of only 12 lunar months. So that month which is left out is what is called as Adhika Masa, technically. And which month will you leave out? So you don't do it arbitrarily like February 28, 29. So that is again an interesting observational phenomenon. So they say in the month in which, the lunar month in which there is no solar Sankranti. Solar Sankranti means sun moving from one Rashi to the other Rashi. That itself is a very interesting computation. Okay? So that is what is precisely called as Adhika Masa. And it just happens. Okay? And there is another thing called counter correlate called Kshaya Masa also. That is a little more interesting computation, which doesn't happen that periodically, which happens much. Yes. Yeah.
What aspect of astronomy is followed in the space programs to chart their course?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They don't. I mean, that is a completely different thing. I mean, if you have some faith, you can launch the satellite at some time which is suitable for some chairman of the ISRO or what.
So it's only the astronomy is useful only for all these cities and.
Yeah, they have nothing to do with that. See, so space is a completely different thing. That is why I saw it in the first step.
We are also talking about.
No, 1 second. 1 second. That is why I said that has to do with cosmos. Okay, so something which is little far off or much far off. You understand? Here we are only talking of this sun, moon and the timekeeping system primarily, plus certain other things which have to do with the motion of the planets around you. Okay, the space science and cosmology is completely different.
Thank you.
Yes, please. You.
Now this.
Next is you.
We have this Rahu Kala and Yamaganda every day.
Yeah, that I don't know. There is no basis.
There's no basis.
No basis. No astronomical basis. Yeah, next.
Yeah, I have a question on the yugas.
Yes.
So right now we are in Kali Yuga.
Yes.
Like we have like 5,000.
Yes. Yes.
And the Yuga before Kali Yuga, it is supposed to be.
Yeah,
right
okay.
before Treta.
Yeah.
So the Ramayana timeline is.
Yeah, that is true. So this large time span, how do we understand?
Yeah.
So there are two different notions. You divide this by 360. Okay. So you divide this by 360, and then this is something which has to do with, not very difficult to understand. Suppose you have an observer sitting on the North Pole of the Earth, assume. Okay. What will be the duration of day for you?
180.
No. So how do you define a day? Sun rising, sun setting, right? Suppose you sit there, it will be almost 6 months. So 1 day is almost equivalent to,
6 months.
that's it. So this 360 factor if you remove, then you can have much smaller durations. So there is something called Devamana, there is something called Pitrumana, there is something called Manushyamana. I think at some point of time, so this is what would have happened, is what my guess is. Okay, so then everything will fit in.
Like the 15,000 years of Ramayana.
No, 43,20,000 you just divide by 360. So then you will get some number which will be only a few thousand years. This is quite possible. Okay. Yes.
What is Kshaya Tithi?
Kshaya Tithi. Okay. See, it's very simple. Normally what happens is, so during the duration of a day, okay, the Tithi will end. The duration, on an average, the duration of a Tithi will be less than that of a day, 24 hours. When I say day, okay, it's 24 hours, let us assume. So 29.54 days is equivalent to 30 Tithis. Okay. So therefore, this Kshaya means, So if there is no sunrise, okay, like this Adhika Masa, we just don't count that. That is something which will keep periodically. So we should stop. Okay, the people are leaving.
So these astronomers have made so many observations over thousands of years, mainly studied sun and moon and some planets, right? So all they did by with the normal
Yes.
eye, or are there any specific?
No, some sort of
instances?
instruments have also been used, but they will not be sophisticated instruments. There are description of instruments that could be partially for teaching, that could be partially for observing. Even this Jantar Mantar, etc. we have. There are some masonry instruments, huge masonry instruments, which will help us understand certain things. But there is a nice theory behind it. So,
But any that is more on the earth, and maybe they use shadow and sunlight. But during night to observe or
there is nothing. That's what I'm just saying. It's all you, naked eye, you can do most of the things. That is good enough.
It was all with the
And you can use a small tube if you want with a wire. That is good enough. Cross. Yeah. Last question. You
So-
want something?
Yeah, this dating of Mahabharata.
Yes.
The Bhishma
Yeah.
actually passed away in Uttarayana, but it
Yeah.
came on December end. Is that?
No, I'll tell you, these are all, see, dating of Mahabharata is not so easy task. Simply because there are so many data points that are available. You can choose one set of data points. Suppose there are 50 data points. 50 data points by which I mean some astronomical phenomenon is described. All the 50 cannot be fitted any time. So you choose some 48 out of it, some other chooses some 36 out of it. He will say only 12 are important, therefore this fits. So this is the kind of problem that is happening. Okay? And therefore there is no unique answer.
So when you look at the phases of the moon, it approximately coincides with the Tithi, right?
It can give you, it doesn't coincide with the Tithi,
It can give you an idea.
because you will not be able to see the face of the moon exactly in a duration of 24 hours.
Correct.
So because they are two
Some
different
part of
things. Yes.
But along the same lines, in the olden days,
Yes.
were they able to look at the sun's rise in the morning and say the nakshatra, or it was only purely based on
No.
calculation?
No. See, you don't need to see sunrise
Okay.
for nakshatra. In fact, people used to even tell time. So this is a very simple thing. There are so many nice vakyas even in Tamil, and we have lost almost. Very unfortunate. So my grandfather, I remember 45, 50 years ago, when I used to sleep in my village, we will just sleep outside the house, okay? So with a cot. And then he will look at the sky and then he will say the time. Okay? So this has to do with, see, the nakshatra which keeps coming up right above you, there will be different nakshatras over a year. So if this nakshatra is seen here, then this is the time.
But how to decide which nakshatra at
Very
what
simple.
point?
It's a pattern, no?
Okay.
So
in
you
the
have a
const-
certain pattern.
Inside the constellation, they fix on a.
Some
particular-
of them, only prominent things can be seen. So they all these 27 nakshatras that you name,
Yeah.
they are not along the ecliptic.
Correct.
They will be slightly off. Some of them may be close to ecliptic, some of them may be 5 degrees off, some of them may be even 15 degrees off. But basically you recognize a certain pattern. That is why we have both nakshatra and rashi. So this rashi and nakshatra, if they are put together, then the advantage is you divide, see 30 degrees and this is 13 degree 20 minutes. So you have a nice pattern by which you will be able to connect one with the other. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. I think we should stop. Please. So he is the person who would have understood the most. Okay, so there's an announcement. All of you have some nice badam halwa to take before you leave. So please. Come.
Thank you so much, Anna, for this amazing lecture, and thanks everyone for coming. Tomorrow it's going to be a very interesting topic as well. Tomorrow it's going to be a peep into the mathematics of Pingala's Chandra Shastra. So looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. So thanks
There's
again
a
for.
Sanskrit lecture prior to that.
Yeah, and there's also for all the Sanskrit enthusiasts, there is also a Sanskrit lecture prior to that. We look forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow. Thank you so much.
No. Come. Please come.
Please note that the halwa he is serving is something that he personally prepared, so just wanted to let you all know.
So those who want second round, you can feel free.